Welcome back to the Turtle Wins the Race Home-Based Business Podcast. My name is Kara Buntin, and I have owned a home-based business since 1999, so that's what we talk about here. And today, I want to kind of go back a couple weeks and pick up on the topic I was talking about, which is bad reviews, and talk about how you guys just need to get a thicker skin. Okay, if you run a home-based business, you are going to get bad reviews. You are going to get nasty customers. You're going to get days that just suck. And you need to get a thicker skin and just understand that you have to expect this. I think that people think that when you work for yourself, it's so much fun. And I used to go to the grocery store to buy my cake supplies, like the ingredients to make my cakes. I baked everything from scratch. I would go to the store once. I would go to Walmart because their prices were actually cheaper than the wholesaler in town. I checked. I would go to Walmart. I would get all my ingredients for the whole week. And I would end up with, 40 pounds of sugar, 50 pounds of flour, 6 dozen eggs. It's all coming down the belt. And inevitably the cashier would say, "Oh, what are you baking?" It's like, "What are you baking?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, clearly a lot." But I would say, "Oh, I do custom wedding cakes." And their answer every single time, "That must be so much fun." And at that point, I just wanted to punch them in the throat. But, you can't do that. And it's not their fault. They think it's fun, right? It's probably more fun to them. The concept of making custom wedding cakes is probably more fun to them than standing at the cashier desk and scanning things in all day. Although, you know what? I wouldn't mind doing that. Because there's no responsibility with that. You have to, you scan something in wrong, press a button and delete it. That's the only responsibility. I'd be good with that. Anyway, yeah, so they would say, "Oh, that must be so much fun." And then I would crush their dreams and go, "No, it's not. It's work just like anything else. It's hard." And they didn't want to hear that. They're just making chatsy, but I no, it's not fun. But anyway, now I forget. Now I'm so worked up. I forget where I'm going with this. Okay, get a thicker skin. I'm thinking back to those days. It's like post-traumatic cake decorating. So when people say things to you like that, they don't mean anything. They're making chatsy, like I said. If people say something about your product, they don't know you. They don't care. Look, I think that people, because we're making our own products, if you are a handmade artist, if you are making your own stuff, then you actually take kind of ownership of that, and it's like it's your thing. But no, you're the mechanic. Okay, look at yourself as the mechanic. Someone orders something, you make it, you send it, that's their thing. Okay. So in ways we are the mechanic. We're the artists, we're the designers, we're the creators, but your personality is not embedded in that bracelet or that set of cake decorations or whatever you're selling. That's not you. The object is separate from you. So get over that, first of all. But if people say something about your product, a lot of people take it really way too seriously. You take it way too personally is the thing. You need to develop a thicker skin because these people are not, they don't know what you do. They don't care what you do. They're just looking at the product. That's it. They're not making a value judgment on your life if they complain about it. If the mail was too late and they didn't get their product in time for their party or whatever, and they're mad, they have a legitimate right to be mad. They might be misdirecting that anger at you because you didn't deliver it. But there might be something that you did to make it not go out in time. I don't know. I mean, every situation is different, but you need to develop a thicker skin. Don't take everything so personally. I see this all the time. And it's the same thing with the reviews. I was talking about the video I did a couple weeks ago about reviews, where people say, "I've only ever gotten good reviews on this, and now this one person says it's terrible, but everybody else liked it." It's like, that has nothing to do with anything, whether everybody else likes it or not. This person didn't like it, and that's fine. They have a right not to like everything, okay? Just like I don't like everything. You don't like everything. They have a right not to like things. But just because they didn't like it, it's not a value judgment on your life. Okay, so that's basically what it seems to be, is like people take this way too seriously. You're not saving the world. We are not saving the world. I will include myself in that. I am not saving the world with my cake decorations. Okay, if somebody doesn't like it, oh, all right, that's fine. If it's not the exact same color that they had in their minds, that's probably on them, but okay, that's fine. You have to develop a thicker skin. Let things roll off of you. And some of this just comes with practice. It's very difficult to take criticism for a lot of people. And if you've ever been, oh my God, were you ever in an art class where you had to go through critiques? I think a lot of people have not done that, but I did studio art in college. It was kind of a minor. I did a lot of studio art classes. Every single one of those classes had critique. You had to go in, put your artwork up on the wall the day that it was due, and then everybody ripped it apart. And basically, I think it was the goal of that practice was to, teach you things that you could have improved about your artwork. But I think it was also to help you develop a thicker skin. At the time, it was painful, and nobody liked critique because you knew that people, and then, it's not just the professor, it's all the little yappers in the class who did a little sketch and threw it up there because they were drunk the night before and they just needed something to turn in. They're over there critiquing the stuff that you worked on for 3 weeks. And at the time, you're like, this is so ridiculous. Well, yeah, it might be. But the purpose of that exercise was to help us develop a thicker skin, because if you are an artist and if you are creating something, you need to have that. You need to have a thick skin and just let things roll off of you and know when to accept criticism and when to say that's not valid. I don't need to really pay attention to that. And that, this also goes for just running a business in general, because you're going to get people in your life who think that they know how to run your business better than you do, even though they've never run a business before. And they're going to give you advice. They're going to tell you should do it this way, you should do it that way, you shouldn't do this. And most of the time, they're going to be full of crap. Every now and then, they might make sense. And I'm thinking of one person. Hold on, let me get a drink before this. I'm thinking of one person who was always complaining that her parents would give her business advice, but they'd never run a business. And at the time I was like, well, they kind of make sense because you're a little wacky with your business. And the advice that they were giving actually did make sense, but it was being dismissed outright because she didn't have a thick skin. And she's like, I'm not going to accept any of this because they don't know what they're talking about. And eventually it was shown that they were right and she should have been doing what they said, because it wasn't just business advice. It was kind of like they could see what was going on. And when you're right in the middle of it, you can't. And that's the problem with a lot of artwork and a lot of artists. They're right in the middle of their own artwork and they're taking the criticism of the artwork as personal criticism. You can't do that. And that's what art critique was about. They will rip you apart. They will, but sometimes the advice is warranted and sometimes it's not. And you need to be able to figure out for yourself which one it is. And it's the same thing. Like on the American Idol. Oh my God, the American Idol tryouts. It's the same kind of thing. I love the American Idol tryouts, and I think everybody watches that because they always bring the person who's just the worst. And their friends have been telling them, "You're so good," like for years. And then they sing in front of the judges, and they're like, "Was that music? Were you singing or were you grunting?" And they get so mad. They're like, how dare you? How dare you? Everybody says I'm good. And it's like, well, then they can't hear, You need to be able to be discerning about advice and take a step back. Don't immediately jump into it and say, this is a personal attack on me. Take a step back. And if you have to, just close your computer and walk away. If it's somebody is sending you an email, somebody sending you a complaint, it's a bad review, whatever it is, close the computer and walk away and let it sit for a while. Don't immediately hop over to a Facebook group and complain about the customer, because the customer might be right. I hate to say it, the customer might be right. But you don't need to take it personally. It's not a personal attack on you, unless it becomes a personal attack on you. You are XYZ. If they're talking about the product, it is not a personal attack on you. And you need to be able to figure that out and understand that and separate that in your head. Because if you can't, you are not going to last as someone who is selling their artwork. Everybody doesn't like everything. And again, this goes back to that video I was talking about with the reviews. You're going to get bad reviews sometimes. You're going to get crabby comments sometimes. And that is completely normal. Not everybody likes everything. You need to develop a thicker skin. You need to learn not to take things personally. And if you can't do that, then this might not be the right business for you. Just saying, okay? If you can learn how to take criticism and actually process it, decide whether it is valid or not valid, and take the valid stuff and do something about it. Maybe try things a different way. Maybe, do things a different process. I don't know, like change your designs a little bit. If multiple people keep saying the same thing too, then that's an indication that you might need to change things. But if one person says it, don't change your whole business because of that. I've seen that too. It's like people are way too fast to change everything based on one comment. And that's wrong. That's not a good thing to do. But if a lot of people are telling you the same thing, then maybe look at it. Don't go do it. Maybe look at that and see whether it's something that you want to change or adjust or whatever the situation is. But you personally need to develop a thicker skin and realize that it's not about you. It's about the product, and the product is not you. And I know that's really hard for a lot of people, because if you're making the product or you design the product, then you have a personal stake in it. But the product is not you. That's all. Okay. I'm going to wrap that up because I'll just keep ranting. And it's just, yeah, you need to develop a thicker skin. I've said that about 90 million times. This could be a drinking game, this podcast. So go get your drink of choice. I have some tea, and I will go watch this back and drink every time I hear myself say that. And I'll have a good caffeine buzz going for the next one. I'll talk to you later.